Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you, wherever you are in the world, depending on your time zone. Welcome to another week's Life with my beautiful business partners, Blessing and Coach Joanne. So before we get into the conversation, we'll just introduce ourselves. Of course, if you are seeing me for the first time, my name is Abigail. I am an HR practitioner and a digital business owner. I do this business alongside my husband, Jordan, and we are Jamaicans residing in South Florida, and we are excited to be here each week. Of course, I'll have my business partners introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into the conversation. Joanne, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Abigail. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're watching us. My name is Joanne. I am a registered nurse by profession, a business coach, a business mentor. I am excited to be here. This is once a week for all of us to be with these three amazing ladies, and we talk about plenty of things, but it's good to come here and share our experiences with the business. So tune in and listen in and let's understand a bit more. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Joanne. Blessing. Go ahead, my dear.
Hello, my beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening according to your time zone. So, my name is Blessing. I am a teacher and also an online digital business owner and mentor. I live and work in Japan. I'm also originally from Nigeria. So, nice to be here again.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. It's always a pleasure sharing with you guys. So, today we're exploring a topic I believe deserves a much deeper conversation. And our theme slash topic this evening is the opportunity gap. What exists between opportunity and possibility? When we hear the phrase opportunity gap, we often think about access. We think about who has opportunities and who doesn't, right? We think about education, resources, network, geography, and circumstances. And the truth is, those things matter. But I believe there's another dimension to the opportunity gap that we don't always talk about. Sometimes the gap is not only between a person and the opportunity, sometimes it exists between the person and their own understanding of what is possible for them. And for many immigrants, this conversation becomes especially important because we often arrive, with incredible skills and resilience and discipline and ambition. We know how to work hard, right? We do. We know how to adapt and we know how to start over. But the question is, have we always been taught to see ourselves as people who create opportunities or primarily as people who must find opportunities that already exist? Because there's a difference between being capable of more and believing that more is available to you. And this is a conversation we want to have today, not from a place of pretending that systematic barriers do not exist, but from a place of asking deeper questions about identity, possibility, preparation, courage, and ways in which our own understanding of opportunity can sometimes be shaped by the circumstances that we have experienced. So we'll jump into the first question to which I will respond. And the question is the opportunity gap really about the lack of opportunity? Is it about, or is it about the between the gap, what immigrants are capable of and what they have been conditioned to believe is possible for them? The truth is, I believe that the honest answer is both. Both can. There are real barriers. And we're not coming to say, oh, things are all together and everything is out on a platter for you. We are aware that there are real barriers. There are unequal systems, there are financial limitations, there are credentialing issues, language barriers, discrimination. Should I start there? Lack of networks that can absolutely limit the access to opportunity. So this is not just a mindset issues, and I'm sure the ladies will agree. But there's another layer to this conversation that I want to explore this evening. Sometimes we are surrounded by possibilities, and we still do not recognize them as possibilities for us because we recognize that, hey, conditioning plays a big role in that. Many of us were raised to value education, right, ladies? Stability, hard work, a secure job. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the world changes. That narrow definition of success can limit and has limited how a lot of us see growth. We may be capable of building, but only taught how to apply. We are capable of creating, but we're only taught to seek permission. Capable of owning something of our own, but conditioned to believe that the safest path is always to fit in what someone else has already built. And I want to be clear, this is not about are blaming immigrants for their circumstances. It's not, it is actually about recognizing that the beliefs that has helped us to survive one season may not be the belief that will help us to build in the next one. You can be educated, hardworking, and highly capable, but still hesitate because you've never seen someone like you do it before. How many times have you heard someone say, oh, that's not for me? Or, oh, no, it's for those people. So the opportunity gap is not only about what is available, it is also about what we can see, what we can believe, and whether we are willing to step into being creators, builders, and owners, not just participants in the system around us. So I want to move into my next question, but just before I go, and my next question is to Joanne. We find that many immigrants are incredibly skilled at adapting, right, Joanne? And you're an immigrant yourself, so I'm sure you can say, I adapt well, right? We learn how to navigate systems, follow established paths, and work hard within the structures that already exist. But there's a difference between learning how to function within a system and learning how to build something of your own. So my question to you, Joanne, is why do many immigrants become highly skilled at adapting to existing systems, but hesitate to build systems or businesses or opportunities of their own?
Thank you, Avake. This is a very interesting question, and I will speak from experience. Actually, I come from, my mother was a businesswoman. Like I don't even remember her. Maybe the first few years of my life, she had a job, but after that, she's pretty much business. But even then, the narrative was, Joanne, go to school, study hard, get a good job, and be independent. It wasn't start this business or start that business or that. And, that's the same for most of us immigrants. We come from a situation where getting the job is stable, getting the job is, in fact, make sure you get a government job, because that will give you the, predictable income. It will give you the stability that you need. And it will give you that safety net where you know that your family has something. And that's the mindset we come with. And moreover, for most of us, financial literacy is not something that is actually spoken about because of our culture. In our culture, we don't discuss money, we don't discuss, things. So
Right.
you come in with that mentality where it is almost a taboo to talk about um, finances. And then once you get here, you're like, I need to be stable because my family relies on me. Because, if I pick up this shift, it's all right. It's already there. And, the problem also comes in, how do I need to fit into this system? And because you're also going through so many hoops to actually fit into the system, once you do, then people sit like, I've made it. I'm done. So people don't challenge themselves to ask, how can I solve this problem? I see this problem. How can I build? And moreover, the environment at this moment is not even, very conducive for settlers, because the environment at the moment is AI, things are changing the way we do things at work. I heard the other day some nurses were saying, of course we can't be replaced. AI can't replace us. But you know what? AI is coming into every single thing. And we need to
Yes.
adapt. Even the systems at work, they are no longer the same. They are changing. So, the immigrant person who comes without the financial literacy gets sort of stuck. But the change comes when the mindset, starts changing and ask, what do I need to do? And then when you see that the things at work are also, changing, and then the fear comes in, oh, what if they change my job? What if I can't
Yes.
stay with the same job? And the shift always begins when we stop seeing ourselves as just workers and employees, and we start seeing ourselves as leaders and creators. And don't get me wrong, we're not saying that, oh, quit your job today and begin learning a new skill. No, 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 no,
Not
no.
at all.
We're saying, since you are already here, you've already adapted to many things, give yourself a chance to actually learn a new skill. Get
Right.
that, get the resilience to learn something new, so that rather than just being an employee, you become an owner, not just for survival, but
Yes.
for the future that is constantly revolving and changing. And that AI advert just keeps nagging at me. It talks about those who are 50 and above or 40 and above learn this new skill. Honestly, because even these people have noticed that a certain age group of immigrants who are because many of us have moved in those ages, and then we are simply comfortable. I get a job and I'm comfortable. So it's the encouragement for yourself to look beyond just survival and adapting to that job, and rather find a new skill that will help you grow and for the future. It always helps.
I agree. I agree. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joanne. So, essentially, when it's funny because as you spoke just now, as an HR practitioner, I see a lot. I see a lot of perspective behind a lot of people. And you are absolutely right. And I can't speak about Australia or Japan, but what I will tell you, gone were the days when, having a government job was some sense of stability. You probably would have seen, in the global news when this new administration came in probably 2 years ago, they made some significant changes. And a lot of people who were in secured federal jobs lost their jobs and found themselves in a situation where, oh my God, what do I do? Where do I go? Some of these people were looking to retirement, and then they're like, oh my God, it's as if it's fish out of water. So then the question then begs, okay, if you recognize that, hey, I'm in a position where I'm just participating in this system, how can I move from a participant to an actual builder or creator? And those are some of the questions we truly have to ask ourselves as immigrants, because if we stay in up, everything is evolving. Technology is evolving, everything is evolving. So if you remain at the place where you were 5 years ago, then you're in trouble. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. The world of work and opportunity is changing rapidly. But sometimes we define opportunity, or our definition of what opportunity is rooted in what we were taught years ago. And when the economy evolves faster than our understanding of opportunity, we miss possibilities that are right in front of us. And the truth is, I'm sure if each one of us here was supposed to really look at our lives and assess it in a way or the other, we can say, there's at least one opportunity we missed if we were a little bit more decisive, if we, gave it a little bit more effort, a little bit, put in a little bit more research in it, we could have benefited a little bit. And I probably you can't, I can. And we recognize that, hey, things are evolving, things are changing. Now that leads me to my next question to you, Blessing. What happens when the opportunities available to us evolve faster than our understanding of it, of what is possible?
Oh, thank you, Avage, for this question. I can relate to this question because the truth is that when I first came to Japan, my understanding of opportunity was very different from what it is today. So, like many immigrants, for me, I believe that opportunity meant me finding a stable job, right? It meant me working hard. It meant me earning my salary every month.
Mhm.
And, it meant that, oh, I needed to keep hoping that if I stayed consistent, that life would eventually become easier for me. And that is exactly what I did. So I worked as a teacher for years. I showed up every day and I gave my best. But
Mhm.
I am grateful that I had that experience anyway because it taught me discipline, it taught me responsibility, and it taught me resilience. But after a while, I realized that I was looking at today's world through yesterday's lens. Because the truth is that the world is changing,
Yes.
you know, and my definition of opportunity has to change with it. Because right now, Joanne was talking about technology. Now there's technology, there's AI, there are a lot of things that we need to learn.
Mhm.
So, and these are new ways that we need to create, uh, to earn and to learn. And for us as immigrants, whether we like it or not, even though we are working and we feel like, oh, we have our jobs and in such a way that we feel like we can earn. But the truth
Mhm.
is that when we look back, we notice that we still have to clock in every day for us to earn, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, right now, there are other people who have actually taken the technology thing into into serious business or into serious consideration where they can now earn online. They can use these tools to work from anywhere in the world and they can still
Mhm.
earn, you know. So while the technology was creating new ways for people to earn, to learn, and to connect globally, for me, I was still thinking that my only option was to exchange my time monthly.
Mhm.
But this business actually opened my eyes because it made me come to a realization that I had to challenge myself.
Yes.
Because the truth is that there was no opportunity for me anywhere. My mindset had to catch up with every opportunity I know I needed. Because the
Mhm.
truth is that if I did not want to catch up with the new trend, with technology and all of that, I will still stay put with, running every
Mhm.
day, trying to catch up with the trend, trying to, do my job. And even sometimes, just like Abage said before, most times, even the job you're doing, the environment might not be so good for you, right? And the truth is that it made me to become very open. So I became very open to learning
Right.
about these digital tools, especially the AI. Nobody should laugh
Mm-hmm.
at me here. So I became so like engrossed in it. I started learning how to use AI tools, not only for my business, but also for some other personal things that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that it is not because I want to stop working, because some people will say, oh, she's doing it. No, I didn't want to stop. I'm still working. In fact, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still working, right? But I noticed that life is changing. The trend is changing. And while the
Yeah.
trend is changing, it's not waiting for you. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
grow with it. You have to learn it. You have to unlearn and relearn and
Yes.
begin to apply. Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, this AI thing, it has come to stay. In fact, it's going to evolve
Mm-hmm.
because it keeps evolving. So you have to know how to use it, because when they say, oh, AI is going to replace people, AI technically is not going to replace people, but the people who know how to use AI tools are going to replace the ones who do not know how to use them.
I agree.
So because the truth is that as immigrants, it's time for us to start wanting more options. It's time for
Yeah.
us to start building something that is completely not dependent on our 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I had to learn the hard way, because if not that I fell sick, maybe my eyes wouldn't have been open to knowing that, oh, I didn't really need to still continue having a job where I need to physically check in. Like I need to physically clock my card before I earn. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
this is a lesson that many immigrants can relate to, because we become so good at adapting to a new country that sometimes we forget we also need to adapt to a new economy. The
Yes.
opportunity gap always outside. It's not always outside us anyway. Sometimes it is the gap between what the world has already made possible and what we have
Mm-hmm.
given ourselves permission to believe is possible. And I want everyone to know this, that the world does not wait for us to update our thinking. It keeps
Not at
moving.
all. Not
So
at
growth
all.
because growth begins the moment we become willing to see opportunities through our eyes instead of
Mm-hmm.
familiar ones. And the
Yes.
truth is that if there's one thing I would like everyone to know today, is that opportunity does not always disappear. Sometimes they simply change, and the biggest gap is whether we are willing to grow with them.
Mm. That's a good one.
Yes. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Blessing. There were some real punches you gave even in sharing your personal experience. One of the things we recognize is that if our definition of opportunity has not or does not evolve, we may be standing in the middle of a new economy while searching for opportunities using a very, very old map. And that's just the plain truth. We can have vision, we can have ambitions, we can have a clear picture of the future we want, right? But
Hmm.
there is often a space between wanting something and becoming the person capable of creating it. And this leads me to my next question, to which I will have Coach Joanne respond to. And it is the greatest opportunity gap the distance between what we say we want for our
Hmm.
future or what we're willing to learn, risk, and become to create it?
Thank you very much, Abigail. This is quite actually an interesting subject for me, because I can remember very clearly the day that I decided I wanted to leave my home country to go look for work elsewhere. I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty clear on what I wanted, and that's the same for most of us.
Yes.
We are home. We recognize that we are here, but the opportunity here is not enough. I need bigger opportunities, I need better opportunities, I need this, and we're very clear on that part. And we come in, we settle down, and then we wake up to the reality of the new environment. The new
Mm-hmm.
environment is only as good as, first of all, our health. And that's something Blessing has mentioned. The new environment is only as
Yeah.
good as our health. Your health is good, oh yes, you're going to manage the fast pace, the extra shifts, the
Mm-hmm.
running up and down, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's still working. And
Mm-hmm.
then when your health is not great or getting, and you realize you're not getting any younger, then you're like, oh, something needs to change. And then you start looking through a new lens. Now, here, when you reach this stage, is the key question is, what are you prepared to learn? What are you prepared to change? What are you prepared to risk? And who are you prepared to become? And that's where most of us actually get stuck. Because even though we are clear on what we want better time, we want freedom, we want less hours, we want so much good things in our lives, but we're not prepared to become that person that seeks after the opportunity, learns new things. And then you're thinking, I already been to school, I've done my master's. What else do I need? A PhD? No. I can't go back to school anymore. But this is not just about going back to school anymore. This is about the willingness to open yourself up,
Yes.
to learn new skills, to adapt to something that is changing within your own environment, first of all, but also changing within the person you're becoming. And this will require you to, take some risk, invest something, look at your budget again. And I'm not saying that, some people are not really going through a hard time. Yes, we all are carrying a certain, we are carrying crosses, all of us. But once you recognize that, okay, this is what I'm carrying and this is what I'm willing to risk, then your mindset sort of shifts. And that personal responsibility to become a better person, to change for yourself, to get, your vision cannot be stuck from the vision you had when you are leaving home to, you have to change your vision. And the vision is, it keeps evolving, maybe it was enough before to have just one job because you had one child. It worked. But with a second child, that changes. The vision keeps changing. You can't just simply keep, I desire to have more time and freedom, but you're not willing to develop yourself as an individual. And then you see the opportunity, but you're not willing to take the action. You're too scared to even see, the potential of this because you're thinking, how? But the future that you so much desire, that you've so dreamt about, the future that you've so written out in your dreams very explicitly, it requires a version of you that has not yet developed. So the question here, the most important question here, comes from, not what you want, but who must you become to achieve that dream? What are you willing to learn in order to create that dream life that you want? So, the perspective changes. So thank you, Avage, for this. It's interesting because it's personal for me. The question is really personal for me because I had to change. Anyone knows me, social media is not my thing. Showing my face is, but I had to recognize that the dream that I desire requires me to evolve, to become a different Joan. I remember when I was becoming coach, that was not easy for me. It was tough. And, Blessing is a friend and, the person that I will call so many times. And of course, this came because of the business opportunity. But I remember so many times that I'm like, Blessing, are we really doing this? Is this where I want to go? And those questions, even though I was speaking to her, I had to come back to myself and reflect on who was I willing to become. Was I willing to just stay the shy, quiet Joan? Or was I willing to stand tall and support other people and mentor other people? And more importantly, show up every single time.
Yes.
So that's the question for you. Who are you willing to become to create?
Wow. Thank you so much, Joanne. As I listen to you, one of the things I think has become apparently clear is that sometimes the opportunity is not necessarily the missing piece. Sometimes the gap exists between the future we desire and the version of ourselves we are willing to develop to meet it. And that is very, 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 very critical. Ladies, thank you so much. As we close this conversation this evening, I think the opportunity gap is worth looking at from more than one perspective. Yes, we identified that there are barriers and we're speaking about opportunity generally. Yes, there are systems that create unequal access. Yes, there are circumstances and those matter, but we also have to be willing to examine the internal gaps, the gaps in awareness, the gaps in exposure, confidence, preparation, and belief can sometimes prevent us from recognizing possibilities when they appear. Because sometimes the question is not simply what opportunities available to me. Sometimes it is what would I need to learn, become, or believe in order to recognize and pursue the opportunities that are available to me? And perhaps one of the greatest shift we can make, especially as immigrants, is moving from only asking where can I fit or where do I fit to what can I build. So we remember we said at the beginning, we're moving from just being participants to being builders and creators. We really, truly, truly have to do that because the future may not require us to work harder within the same framework. Sometimes it requires us to expand the framework, to challenge the beliefs that we've inherited. Blessing spoke about earlier about unlearning and relearning some things. And it is something that I have recognized, not just in business, in just in life general. There are some things that we've inherited, some thoughts, some beliefs, some concepts. And as you grow, you realize, that's not true. I need to change that. Things have changed from where that was. We have to update our understanding of what is possible. Joanne spoke extensively about, developing new skills and taking calculated risks. We're going to have to inform ourselves and from an informed standpoint, make informed decisions in the form of calculated risk and recognize that we may not be limited to being just participants in the system, but as I said, we can become creators and builders and contributors to what comes next. The truth is, when I look at the world and how much it has evolved, there have been significant changes. And I can say significant changes in the past 15, 20 years. And I say 15, 20 years because that's the time frame from when I was like in high school to now where I'm at. There has been significant changes. I've shared here before, when I was growing, you see people in business, but entrepreneurship was not something that was being pushed. But we recognize that, hey, we can't just be participators anymore. We have to become builders and creators and contribute. So the opportunity gap does not begin to close simply when the opportunity appears. And I'm sure you guys can agree with me. It begins to close when we become prepared to recognize it, when we are courageous enough to pursue it, and when we are willing enough to become the person capable of creating even more possibilities beyond it. And because possibility is not always absent, right? Sometimes it's simply waiting for our vision to expand enough to see it. Ladies, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, for coming on and just sharing this evening. Before we go, I will, give you another opportunity if there's anything you want to share with our viewers before we leave. Anyone can take it. Blessing, what do you
Okay,
want to,
so
any last words before we go?
okay, let me say sorry. I'm still feeling sleepy. So, so if today's conversation made you reflect on your own future, I just want you to reach out to any of us and ask questions, because remember that curiosity is often the first step towards change. And that is one reason we keep showing up every day to have these conversations. Each of us has experienced what it means to, rebuild, to unlearn, to relearn, and to discover opportunities we did not know existed. So, and we are so passionate about sharing them with you because someone once shared them with us. Our business is not a shortcut to success. I always say that every day. So don't think you come in today and start cashing out in millions tomorrow. And it is not for everyone. So it requires you to learn, it requires you to be consistent, and it requires you to have the willingness to grow. But one thing many immigrants or many people appreciate is that it fits around the life you have already. So whether you're working full time, whether you're raising a family, whether you're balancing, other responsibilities, you decide when and how you want to build your business. So if you're wondering whether is this something that could fit my goals, you don't need to sit back and assume. Just ask us questions. Let us have a conversation and have you
Mhm.
explore it with an open mind. The opportunity that changes your future often begins with the question you are willing to ask. So we are always available to answer your questions. So thank you so much, Alba.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Blessing. Coach Joanne?
Thank you, ladies, for this beautiful conversation. Like I have to say, uh, coming in here wasn't always easy for me, but I've started looking forward to these Fridays. For one, because we get to put the realities out there, not just for ourselves, because the more you do something, the more you think about it, and the more it resonates. It's not
Right.
just for us, and it's good to hear from all of us being in different countries. It's good to understand what it is. So I encourage our viewers today, if you find yourself in a situation where you know exactly what you want, you know exactly how your future, how you want your life to be, but that looks from what your life is currently, then it means you're asking yourself the right question. Reach out to us. We'll be able to answer your questions and to see how this opportunity can fit into your current lifestyle and how it
Mhm.
can make your future even more of a reality for you. And as Blessing said, it's not for everybody, but those who come in and explore the opportunities, you can decide for yourself what is good, and we are able to guide you on how best to make it fit in your life. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Coach Joanne. At the end of the day, many of us, many of you have been saying, I need to find an opportunity. I need to find something. I need to find an option. An option is available. Yes, but are you willing to step into what is available? Are you willing to make that step? Blessing said earlier that, curiosity is the first step to growth. Are you willing? Are you ready? That's something you can ask yourself. It's always a pleasure coming on. Thanks to each and everyone who took the opportunity to come on. And even if you're watching the replay, or you may know someone who has been asking or seeking an opportunity, share the live with them. We are happy and we are open to, sharing our experience and sharing this opportunity with you. So thank you again for sharing this week with us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a blessed weekend, and we will see you next Wednesday. Well, it's Thursday, Friday, Blessed and Joanne's time.
Friday.
Yes, yes. Have a good one. Bye bye. Thanks for
Bye. Good
joining.
morning.